Hey everyone, we're back with another review, and this one is sponsored by Baksu. Ladies and gentlemen, let me present to you Kaguya-sama Love is War. I remember there being a lot of hype for the anime when it came out in 2019. I kind of saw it happening from afar, but I didn't really look into the series until this year. And when I did see the anime, I saw it out of order. So I ended up going straight to the manga and reading through that. I got up to volume 16, and I think there's about like 20-something volumes in total. And I gotta tell you, through my experience watching the anime, reading the manga series, it's pretty good. I can see why there would have been hype for that anime series to come out. So for you fellas out there who are into romantic comedy like myself, this is definitely something that you should be picking up. The plot revolves around these two, and the main character, girl, is Kaguya. Both of them are on the student council, he's the president, and they're both in love with each other, but like many anime out there, neither of them will admit it. But here's the thing, they both kind of know, or at least assume, that they like each other. So rather, instead of confessing their feelings for each other, they try to trick one another into confessing, and whoever confesses first is like the loser in their little game. She doesn't want to confess because she thinks that the man should do it. He doesn't want to confess because he thinks that she's way out of his league and she should do it so that he can feel like it's earned. But at the end of the day, they're both not confessing because they're both just shy, and they'd rather have the other person confess first. Now, they're both also very intelligent characters, and they go through great lengths to try to get the other to confess. Now, you might think this is one of those plots that just goes round and round in a circle. It's a seesaw game of love, and for that reason, maybe you're worried that it'll be tiring to read. But I do gotta say, there is progression throughout the story, and even though this very easily could be one of those mangas that just go on forever without a conclusion to the love story, not only do they conclude the romance, but they conclude it not at the end of the series, but right in the middle of the series. They conclude it like about volume 14. And they continue the series with them being a couple and going through humorous couple things together, which I always say that more anime, more manga should do that. But I understand why a lot of romance stuff doesn't do that. It can drive me absolutely crazy, some of these romances where it just goes back and forth for eternity and nothing ever happens between the characters. I still remember being so angry after the School Rumble anime conclusion. I felt like I had been robbed of my time. But overall, they actually handled the romance pretty well, and the big thing about the manga is that it's genuinely funny. In a way, you could say it's kind of like Seinfeld comedy.
What's the deal with decaf? How do they get the caffeine out of there? And then where does it go?
Because they take very small social things and they over-exaggerate it, over-analyze it to make it as comedic as possible. For example, one of the first scenes that we see these two in, or I guess first war scenes, is one of their friends has 2 tickets to this romance movie, and she suggests that the president and Kaguya go. Now, naturally, they both want to go together, but if he asks Kaguya to go with him to a romantic movie, then it's kind of like he's confessing his love. So he has to go through all of these mental loopholes in order to make her instead make the decision. He like tries to turn it around and is like, well, it sounds like you want to go, Kaguya. I don't mind either way. But it's all a ploy to begin with, because she's the one who gave her friend those tickets on a day that she knows her friend couldn't go, made sure that it didn't interfere with his schedule. Like, she planned this whole thing ahead of time just to try to trick him into asking her out. And there's always this funny narration in the background, which is really amplified in the anime series if you've seen it. It's a good example of a good, funny narrator. They're both very funny and interesting characters. Kaguya, of course, has this kind of shell around her where she prevents other people from getting too close to her. She tries to prevent herself from showing her emotions. She's constantly under stress by her family, under stress to be this perfect girl. The president, on the other hand, he puts himself under stress in order to impress her. One of the interesting things is the president is actually the only poor person in this school. Or, well, maybe not poor, maybe just more so middle class. So everyone who goes to the school is super rich, super upper class, but he still manages to get the high score when it comes to grades just because he works extra hard in order to impress someone he likes. And then of course there's other characters like the friend character who is like super cutesy. There's this other character who gets introduced way later who's pretty... And then there's this character who's probably my favorite side character. He's the type of guy who's like given up on romance and very insecure about himself. Of course, he grows as the manga series goes on. All of the characters grow, really. If you wanted me to do a quick review of the anime series, so long as I got you here, I think the anime series is pretty good. It's a pretty faithful adaptation. It's well animated. If you are watching the dub, though, you might notice some awkward translations. And there's also this one character in the season 1 dub who you can tell was recorded somewhere different. Like their lines clearly were not recorded in a studio. I don't know why, I don't know how that happened at Funimation, but it sounds like they put a filter over her voice so that you couldn't tell there was an echo, and instead it just kind of sounds like she's speaking with cotton balls in her mouth, or it sounds fuzzy, you know what I mean? So that's really bizarre. I don't know the story behind that, but there's gotta be a story, right? Unless the girl just always sounds like her voice is being filtered through a vent. And if you are going to be watching the anime series, what better way to watch it than while consuming the best of Japanese snacks? Don't judge me. Like I said, this video is brought to you by Boxu. Boxu is a monthly snack box subscription that delivers the best in Japanese candies, snacks, and tea pairings. Every month, you could receive a box of Japanese candy based on different themes. All of the candy is made and shipped from Japan, and they even include a cultural guide that details each product's origin, ingredients, and even common allergies. So you know exactly where this candy is coming from, and I guarantee it's some of the best candy that I've ever had from any subscription box service. You can get mochi, red bean donuts, matcha sticks, and even a puppy? Okay, well maybe not a puppy, but you wouldn't eat that anyway. Oh, she's so cute. So use my code DANFAN10, get 10% off your Boxu order, and impress your weeb friends with your large assortment of Japanese candy. I can honestly say the best place I've ever gotten my Japanese candy at. So to conclude this review, I love Kaguya-sama Love is War. I think it has a lot of thought put behind it. There could be some things that they improve. Sometimes the comedy can be dragged out, sometimes they beat the same joke to death, and I probably wouldn't recommend reading it all in one sitting, or watching it all in one sitting for that matter. Just because sometimes it can get tiring. Sometimes you gotta put it down and pick it up again. But it is funny. It's a very funny series, very wholesome, and if you're into romantic comedies, this is something worth picking up and giving it a try. Not only because it's funny and cute, but also because it actually concludes the romance. So definitely check out Kaguya-sama Love is War, and just in case you have been wondering, yes, Ellie the Eliminator is still funding on Indiegogo, still a chance to get your copy. We're working on finishing up that animation, so that'll be up on the campaign page pretty soon, hopefully. And you'll also be able to check that out on the Burning Star YouTube channel. So as usual, guys, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a like on the video and leave your own thoughts on this series down below in the comments section. Have you heard of it? Have you watched it? Have you read it? Were you an OG fan? Till then, I'll see you next time, guys. Bye!
Program restart.